Good day, everyone, and welcome to our Pro Training Technical webinar featuring Rob Wick from Woodstream. Before we start, I'd like to review a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. Here's a quick review of what you'll see on your screen. To the left of your screen is the viewer, where you see the presentation. To the right is the control panel, where you can ask questions. The control panel will collapse automatically when not in use. If you want to keep it open, click the View menu and uncheck Auto Hide Control Panel. You have joined this webinar in listen-only mode, which means you are muted. You have the opportunity to submit text questions by typing them into the Questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation, and we will address them during the Q&A session at the end. Later today, you will receive a follow-up email containing the webinar recording. With that, let me introduce you to today's speaker. Rob started with Dynamic Solutions Worldwide, the manufacturer of DynaTrap, in 2016 as an account manager. When the DynaTrap brand was purchased by Woodstream in 2019, after initially managing retail accounts, he transitioned into his current role as Commercial Accounts Manager for the US and Canada, offering Woodstream's multiple brands, Victor, Taro, DynaTrap, and Safer, to PMPs. Rob, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chris, and good morning, everybody. I really appreciate the time that you're taking to hear me out and your interest in DynaTrap. So really, there's three goals today for this presentation. One is to explain how DynaTrap works. Two, the best way to use it. There are tricks and tips that you can use that'll get better success out of the trap. And then three, and probably the most important to the PCO, is how to monetize the DynaTrap, how to increase revenue or margins by utilizing the DynaTrap in your mosquito control or insect control program. So with that, I'll get started. So yes, we did start as a retail item, as a consumer item, grew very quickly in a very short amount of time, but we started gaining some traction in 2018 and the PCO channel, and the commercial channel. And we've been constantly designing, redesigning, and improving the products to so that people can enjoy the both outdoors and indoors from those pesky insects like mosquitoes and other biting and nuisance insects. So with that, I just want to show you, I want to explain that the PCO channel is becoming more and more important for us. Now, I'm not at liberty to share exact dollar amounts because we are a privately held company, but since 2018, when we introduced it to the PCO channel, we've grown considerably. And some names you would recognize are purchasers or utilizers of either outdoor, indoor, or both DynaTrap models. And if most of you might be familiar with Woodstream products, maybe not the name Woodstream, but the Victor brand, Taro, Safer, Have a Heart. Those are all products that we've been selling, many, some of which are over 100 years old. So it says something when we see that DynaTrap share of the Woodstream product lines going to the PCO channel has grown 3 times in just a few years. So I want you to take note of that and know that there's a way that DynaTrap can be utilized to monetize, be monetized so that it can improve your revenue. So first, let's talk about how it works. It's pretty straightforward. It's a lantern-looking device. We're going to talk about outdoor traps first, and it consists of a UV light, very specific UV wavelengths that are attractive to biting insects and other nuisance insects. That light draws the insects in. When they get near the trap, a fan in the middle of the housing right there sucks them into the retaining basket where they dehydrate and die within 24 to 48 hours. That's the concept of the trap. that's how it works. It's been out for, again, almost, over 14 years now, with millions sold around the world. And these items can be used as standalone items, and they are at many households and other facilities. But I'm going to show you also how they can be incorporated and possibly save money as part of your, let's say, mosquito fogging or spraying program. So some of the insects that we catch, you'll see here, mosquito is public enemy #1. Everyone's interested in that. But there are other biting insects and even in moths that it attracts as well. Asian lady beetles. What it doesn't attract is pollinators like honeybees and butterflies. So Veseris has purchased products from us in the past. You have some models that we'll talk about at the very end that we're going to provide a discount on because we came out with new design in 2024. And I want to explain the differences in that design now. So it's smaller. The 1 acre trap, we have a 1/2 acre and 1 acre. The 1 acre trap is now the size of a 1/2 acre trap, and the 1/2 acre trap is smaller yet. So we've condensed everything, but we've been able to increase the basket size by 1.5 times, which is the important thing because that requires less servicing. The bulb went from a 3,000 hour bulb to a replaceable 20,000 hour bulb. So again, less cost to maintain, less servicing to be concerned with. You don't have to remember every 4 months, let's say, which is what 3,000 hours equates to now you're looking at either 4.5 years of seasonal use, 6 months at a time, let's say, or if you were using it in an area full time, year round, you're about 2.25 years is what 20,000 hours equates to. The easy disposal feature, we now have a push button drop hatch for easy disposal of the insect, of the catch. And probably most importantly to everybody involved is the price reduction. We are able to reduce costs by moving manufacturing to a different facility and just streamline some things. So very exciting news on that front. The Attracta sachet is something you can use to enhance the catch rate. DynaTrap works great on its own. This is a supercharging, if you will, of the catch. And what it is, it's mimicking mammal perspiration. That's really all it is. So lactic and hexanoic acid, ammonium hydrogen carbonate, those are the things that are in our perspiration that attracts biting insects to us. So that's an item that is currently in Veseris's system. Just real briefly, a universal mount for if you can either use a shepherd's hook, which we do not supply, or this universal mount, which we do. Can be mounted on a pole or to a deck or a structure of some sort. But you'll see that it's got some flexibility. The hanging weight, not an issue, especially with the downsizing of our latest models. So now going to the new indoor trap design. Some of you might be familiar with the flylight. It was the DT3009. This is the DT3007 and DT3007W for white. It's more compact while still maintaining the same glue card size, so the same catch area. We went again from a 3,000 hour bulb to a 20,000 hour bulb. This is not a replaceable bulb. This is integrated into the device. But again, for the price, getting 2.25 to 4.5 years of use out of it, very economical. The research that we've done on this, so we're comparing this to a popular, in this case, a popular consumer product. We are head and shoulders above this particular device and many others. We just show this one here in terms of efficacy. So what this is saying is if you release 100 mosquitoes in a room, let's say 10 by 10, I'm not sure if this study was done this way, but we've done it this way in the past. 92 of those would be caught by our device. And then in a separate room, if you put this other brand out there, 54 of those 100 would. So that's really a 70% more effective rate if you really crunch the numbers. So we're not just selling gimmicks. You know, we test. We have our own testing lab in Melbourne, Florida. Licensed entomologist and staff. We do all of our testing before we send any product to market. So here are the products that I'm either proposing or you currently have in terms of DynaTrap. I will say that the DT3007W and the replacement cards that go with it and the sachet, the Attracta sachet, are what you currently have set up and have item numbers for. These are new. These are this is the 1 acre, the DT2030, and the DT1130 is the half acre. And then, like I say, this item is already set up. The black one is not. And then of course the bulbs for each of these two outdoor traps are, I'm sorry, I was on the wrong slide when I was pointing my cursor, but so yeah, it's 1 acre, half acre, the black version of the indoor flylight, which you do not have, but you do have the white and the glue cards replacement for that trap, and then the sachet for the outdoor traps that you currently have in the warehouse. And we'll go over those in a minute. But this is the lineup. This will be available, of course, afterwards, so you can reference item numbers. And then Viserys, if they bring some of these in, then they'll have their own item numbers for that as well. So I want to show how, some tips. This is a video that I put together a few years ago. There's going to be one caveat at the end. I'm going to change the ending because it has to do with the old light bulb. But I want to show this to you. And this is tips on how to best place and when to place the trap. I'm going to get rid of some of this music as it just takes up time.
Congratulations, you purchased a DynaTrap, #1 selling device for getting rid of mosquitoes and other annoying insects. To ensure you get the best results from your DynaTrap, here are a few simple guidelines to follow. First, place your DynaTrap outside early in the season before mosquitoes start biting. Second, place your DynaTrap 20 to 40 feet away from where you typically hang out in your yard, patio, and bed. Third, place your DynaTrap 3 to 6 feet off the ground and, if possible, in the shade between your high traffic area and potential mosquito habitats like bushes and trees. Fourth thing is to turn your DynaTrap on 24/7 during the entire season, not turn it off. Lastly, place your DynaTrap bulb after 4 months of continuous use, contain the proper UV strength required to attract mosquitoes and other insects. We're confident your DynaTrap is going to deliver great results for you for years to come. If you have questions regarding proper usage, our customer service team is standing by your help. Happy trapping! Be sure to browse our website for other innovative products that help eliminate insects both outside and inside your house.
Okay, so I apologize if the audio was a little quiet. That's as loud as I can get it, but I can send a link so you could see it on YouTube if you want to see it, hear it a little bit better. But the first thing I mentioned in the video, I'll go over each one of those tips. The first thing I mentioned is getting it out early. Now, depending on what part of the country you're in, early means a different thing. But what I tell people is mosquito eggs can hatch at 50 degrees. If it's consistently above 50 degrees, mosquitoes are going to survive. Most people think it needs to be a lot warmer than that for mosquitoes to be around, but it does not. So if you can imagine, first of all, that a female mosquito can lay 100 to 200 eggs at a crack, and every so often she can do maybe 5, 10, 12 broods in her short lifespan. And then within 2 weeks, I believe, of a mosquito hatching, those female mosquitoes can start reproducing. So you can imagine that if you let that population get a foothold in a yard or an area, it's a much harder task for a trap or anything to attack and get a combat that population. So if you can take care of the first few hatchlings that come out, you're way ahead of the game. And because those can't produce, and those offspring can't produce, and so on and so forth. So you might have in a specific area, hundreds of thousands of mosquitoes in June, where you may have only had hundreds at the very beginning of the season. So it's critical to get it out early. The other thing was, I say place it 3 to 6 feet off the ground. That is where mosquitoes typically, that's their flight pattern, typically. Now they do go higher and lower, but that's where they're typically seeking out a blood meal, because most mammals are within that range. The 20 to 40 feet away from where you typically are hanging out, like you see here on a patio, that's critical, because too far away, and in between, by the way, in between where you think the habitat is, like bushes and trees on the edge of your yard, and where you hang out. Far enough away so that it isn't attracted. It's not a repellent device. It's a trap. It's bringing them in. So you don't want them to choose you over the trap, the mosquitoes, that is. So you get it out there far enough, but not so far away that it's not intercepting anything that is near you. The very important one, and this is one that I probably see as the #1 problem that end users have: turning it on and leaving it on. It's not a bug zapper. You're not doing this. Most people would go outside, turn the bug zapper on, turn it off, and when they go inside. You want this device to be working nonstop. Think of it as a Roomba, or as one of those robotic pool cleaners that are just doing their thing when you're not in the pool. Mosquitoes have, for the most part, a finite area in which they are born, live, and die in. Now, the wind can blow them a mile away, but for the most part, they try not to travel more than a few hundred yards of wherever they're born. So if you can picture a yard or some commercial property as a cube that is housing all these mosquitoes, picture the DynaTrap as a Roomba, or as a robotic pool cleaner that is sucking them in systematically day and night, whether you're outside or not. Because remember, the mosquito that's caught by DynaTrap today can't bite you when you're out on your patio tomorrow. So that's the main takeaway, and why people should leave them on 24/7. It's not so we can sell more bulbs. We're going to sell more traps because people are going to like the way they work, and that's one way to ensure that they're working fine. So the most important thing: how does it work? Or how can it work for you in terms of either retaining customers or gaining customers or getting more profit off of customers? So depending on what the PCO is paying for it, but this is a pretty safe number. If these items can last, these devices can last a number of years. We have devices, traps that have been out since inception, so 14 years. Not saying they'll all last that long, but on average, you might be, if you take the cost of the trap and a bulb or two, you're looking at $12 a year to own this device, either as a PCO. I'm using the PCO ownership model, not reselling this to the customer. Remember, you can take this device out of the yard or off the property at the end of the year, at the end of the season, and reuse it. It's a tool just like anything else, like your truck, that you can use to maintain mosquito control. So to monetize it, if you look, one of my large customers, a PCO, they say it costs them on average $48 of cost of goods sold, and time and materials as well. So truck, technician, and the actual spraying materials. $48 a pop. They do 6 sprays a year. If you could put this device out and reduced by 1 or 2 sprays, you're reducing your cost. You're adding $12, but you're reducing it by 48 or possibly 96. Keep in mind. So what it's doing is it's leveling out the peaks and valleys, and this is how you would sell it to the end user where you're placing the trap. This is replace or smoothing out, if you will, the peaks and valleys that come along with the knockdown effect of spraying. So that's really the most important thing to take away. Keep in mind, there are plenty of properties around the globe that use 1 or 2 of these devices on their own to maintain mosquito control. So this can be a nice add-on. It's a nice leave behind. People see that it's, they feel like they're getting something for their dollar. If they choose, they can go and look at the trap and they see it, unlike a bug zapper, which just, disintegrates them and you don't really see the capture. Here they can see that something's working. So that's how you monetize an outdoor trap. And again, I'll take any questions at the end if you have them. Feel free to put them down, and Chris will rattle them off to me. The indoor trap, pretty similar, but it'll be annual ownership cost of $24. It's a great leave behind item. That's what one of my PCOs does. Top 10 PCO does. They use it as part of an overall insect program, and people can see the results should they choose to look at it. But it's very nice and discreet. It's the catch is facing the wall, the glue card that is. So it's they only see it if they want to. But again, nice little leave behind item for a very low cost. So with that, we'll go over what is currently in the warehouse. And what we're going to do to move these out is provide a $15 discount on either these are both half-acre traps. I don't know that I don't think there are any 1-acre traps in there, but most properties only need a half-acre trap, probably 90%. So we're gonna discount $15 off of the cost of the trap, but you have to order by 5/31 this year. So with that, I will, if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Hey, Rob, thanks for presenting such great informative information. So let me go ahead and see which questions have come through the questions pane. The first one is saying, I've been previously instructed that most species of mosquitoes are not specifically attracted to light, but rather use light for navigation purposes, but not attracted specifically to it. What do you have to say about that?
I've heard that about moths, and I have not heard that. I mean, it's the wavelength. It's not the light itself. It's the UV wavelength, and that's the research that goes behind DynaTrap. Keep in mind, there are millions of these devices out there because they work, and not because they're a gimmick. That would be a short-lived experience for DynaTrap if we didn't have the right UV wavelength, for example, to attract them. But that's an interesting question. I'm going to ask my entomologist.
All right. The next question is asking, can any of the units be upgraded to LED bulbs?
Not the current units. We'll still have the bulb, the replacement bulbs, the fluorescent ones available for the ones the DT. I mean, for these 2 items, that is a different way to insert it. It's a different housing. So no, you cannot retrofit an old trap with an LED bulb.
Okay. The next question is asking, can these units be private labeled?
It's about the short answer is probably yes, but it is so Woodstream is we've done it with mouse traps and glue cards, but there's a substantial quantity that has to have been, MOQ that has to be met. I want to say for glue boards, it's 1 million annual usage. And so I could find out the answer to that if you're, but not on a small scale for most PCOs. But I'll say the answer is depends. So
Gotcha. Yeah, and you can just, the person who submitted this, I'd say reach out to your Viserys representative and they can help you with that and get an answer from Rob about that specifically. Okay, the next question is asking, is this a plug-in or battery operated device?
I'm sorry, I should have said that. Yeah, so it is a plug-in. Now, yes, that will limit where you place it. So all those devices, but most houses or facilities, commercial facilities, properties have outdoor outlets. Now, all those things I said that give you the best results, 20 to 40 feet away, by mosquito habitat, you may be limited if you do not want to have an extension cord with it. So, but again, the main takeaway is even if it's not in those places, it's working day and night. And when it is the only light source, UV source at night when everybody's in bed and it's working round the clock, even during the day, and you're not out there, it's still doing its job regardless of where you place it. So
Okay.
there doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be an inconvenient, let's say an extension cord running 50 feet across a yard that could get run over by a mower.
Gotcha. This next question is asking, so is your recommendation to market this as an add-on to a spray program versus using it as a standalone product?
Well, that's up to the PCO. I mean, I tell you that we, have millions of households that use it as a standalone. Well, I shouldn't say that. They also might have someone come in and spray too, but there are plenty of people like myself. I've never used either sprayed or used a PCO to spray if it's placed properly and all that. I'm saying you can do either one. Now, someone could. I mean, if you're in the business of selling sprays and chemicals, then I wouldn't use this as a standalone item. It all depends on your what kind of profit goal you're shooting for. But someone could say, I'm a totally green PCO, and I only use this method and it to rid mosquitoes from your yard. Not sure anybody's doing that. I don't think anybody's doing that
Mm-hmm.
as a standalone item.
Right. Here's a question that's asking, how does this compare to the IntoCare system?
Well, it's just two different ways of doing something. So that the IntoCare, that's got that kills the adult as well as makes or it kills the eggs in the water or in the liquid, and then it also kills the adults. But I can't speak to how well it works. I would ask that question of my entomologist and say, when is IntoCare a better fit than us or vice versa? It's just everyone's using different ways to attack the problem. This is not the end all be all. This is an awesome device that works, but if you live next to a swamp, you're going to have to spray or do something else as well, I'm guessing. Because you could fill up one of these. I've had a customer tell me they live on a lake, and this half-acre trap that you're looking at, it fills up in a night. Others might take 3 weeks if it's less pressure, mosquito pressure.
Um, And here's a comment actually based on what you just said too, Rob. Someone saying, I have used these personally from a retail perspective. I have bought and given to customers. Love them and they do work.
Oh,
So that's,
thanks.
yeah, kudos to the product. The next question's asking, what's the life of the bulbs?
That's the the existing models is 3,000 hours or 4 months of continuous use. The newer models that we just came out with for 2024 are 20,000 hour, and they are replaceable in the outdoor trap, just like the current ones that you're looking at here in this slide. They're just 20, they're 7 times longer. So you're looking at whatever that, just basically a number of years, many years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, this next question that's been submitted is asking, do the interior plug-in traps help to control other interior flying insects, i.e. fruit flies, fungus flies, etc.?
I feel like I missed out on, I should have said that. I apologize. I thought that slide was in there. Yes, so it's great for fruit flies. Anything that an exotic plant might have brought in from overseas, where all these little plants you get aren't necessarily grown in the U.S. They might be from South America, but a lot of different uh, indoor insects are attracted to it. So moths, mosquitoes, fruit flies, just little gnats that come with plants and that sort of thing.
Got it. This next one's asking, is there any harm to come in, like someone like a younger child that would touch this in any way if his hands were wet or dry? Is it safe to use?
100% absolutely. First of all, it's IP67 rated, so that's why you could, the outdoor, I don't know if you're looking at, if you're referring, well, I'm referring to both. Either one. The indoor trap, you'd have to, just like plugging in a hair dryer, you'd have to be touching the prongs while you're plugging it in to get shocked. But that's any device that you would ever plug in. The outdoor trap, again, absolutely not. I mean, there is a fan in there that's spinning. They'd have to take the uh, basket off while it's plugged in. And I honestly, I have to think if the new design automatically turns the fan off or not. But as far as like hands wet, shocking, zero, it'd be like touching the light bulb in your house.
Okay, thanks, Rob. The next question's asking, will water damage it in any way, whether it's from rain or accidentally sprayed upon it?
So that IP67 rating, it's good for everything except taking a pressure washer up it, like from a
Hmm.
downward, from below and angling up into certain parts of it. I mean, it's, again, this company was born in Wisconsin. A lot of rain, a lot of snow, been out there for 10, 14 years, some of these devices. So it is, short of intentionally trying to ruin it, it's good for all weather conditions and wet conditions. Of course, it makes the catch a little soggy. That's in there. The idea is that the fan blow has to circulate, and it has to have somewhere, the air has to have somewhere to go. So that's why there's a screen there and not a solid basket. Plus, it lets you see what kind of catch you have, so you know when to empty it.
Right. What kind of warranty do the traps have?
That's a year warranty. But this is Woodstream and DynaTrap historically as well. If there's what we feel is a manufacturing situation, a defect, I'll say that we've replaced product after a year if we felt like that something wasn't right.
Gotcha. All right, I do see a couple of questions asking about pricing, and so I would just advise you to reach out to your Viserys representative, and they would be more than happy to provide you with all of that information. And with that, it looks like all of the questions have been answered. So I want to thank you, Rob, and everyone for attending today's webinar. Like I mentioned earlier, later today, you'll receive a follow-up email with a recording. And don't forget to take advantage of the instant $15 off discount on those 2 units. Again, those are good through the end of May, and your Viserys representative can help you place that order. Also, for all of you who attended today's webinar, Rob has been kind enough, and he's going to be sending out a complimentary DT 3007W indoor flylight, and those will ship out sometime next week. So on behalf of our speaker and Viserys, thank you for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.